if you go through the recent matches of Fnatic, they've been dominating everybody. They've been showing half as many maps as all the rest of the teams.
But they're
Now,
still
hold
just
on.
so
They're not losing to Liquid.
But they're
Now,
still
hold
just
on.
so
They're
bad.
not losing to Liquid. They're not losing to Liquid.
We saw Fnatic lose just one map throughout the entirety of the EMEA VCT regular season. Then they made it into the grand finals with just one map loss throughout the rest of the playoffs. But once they squared off against Team Liquid in that grand finals, even with a 2-map veto advantage, they would only win a single map. Arguably the biggest collapse in competitive Valorant. Let's go ahead and get down and do what it do. Power 5. Do what it is, your boy. Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Q, and this is what's new in EMEA VCT. Over the course of the last week, we've seen the region's top 6 teams squaring off in a double elimination bracket, which would send the top 4 teams to Masters here in Tokyo in just a couple of weeks, as opposed to the 3 teams that would be getting sent from every other region, of course that being thanks to Fnatic's win at lock-in to start off the season. So NAVI can definitely thank Fnatic that they're still going to land after getting swept not just once, but twice over the course of the playoffs. Crazy to think about for a team that went in ranked number 2. The question becomes, does this give you a reason to worry if you're a NAVI fan heading into Tokyo? Definitely interested to know your thoughts down in those comments below. And you see, it's not so much about NAVI finishing 4th, right? It's kind of the way that the end of the season broke down and kind of what shook down in the playoffs itself and how they looked against the better teams within the region. Because let's not forget that heading into the playoffs, by the statistics, NAVI have the 2nd best team within the region. They have only conceded 2 maps other than the 2 series that they had lost, one of those series being Fnatic, right? And the other series being the very first series of the year. And both teams that swept them in the playoffs actually got swept by them during the regular season. So do with that what you will. And one of those teams that NAVI originally swept but got swept by during the playoffs was Team Liquid, a team that only won 3 additional maps than they lost during the regular season. Once they got to playoffs though, they played 14 maps and only lost 4 of them. 3 of them being to Fnatic. And it's kind of crazy to think about because 2 of those maps actually came in a sweep to Fnatic in that upper bracket final. Able to push Fnatic very briefly to overtime on Lotus before dropping 2 straight rounds, but once they got to bind, only able to win 6 rounds in total as they would get swept down to that lower bracket. In that lower bracket final though, Foot Esports just really struggled to get anything going against Team Liquid. I mean, even in the 2nd map, they did jump off to a 10-2 lead, but they would eventually let that thing slip away, and I can only imagine really broke that mental for Foot heading into Split, where the only 2 rounds they would win back-to-back were that first pistol and that following eco round, as Liquid would end up pulling off the sweep. And the grand final would start to much of the same pace that we saw the matchup in that upper bracket final. We saw another banger on Lotus to start things off, going the distance with Fnatic winning this one 13-11, no overtime needed, and it almost looked like Team Liquid would actually fall behind 2-0 after letting an 8-4 lead disappear, although they would be able to win back-to-back rounds in overtime to even up the series. Now, it would be on Haven that we would see Team Liquid take the series lead after holding Fnatic to just 6 rounds, meaning that we would be going to Fracture with Team Liquid on match point, despite Fnatic having a 2-map veto advantage going into those picks and bans. On Fracture though, despite Team Liquid having a lead at half 7-5, it was actually a run by Fnatic that would give them the lead late until Team Liquid would win those last 3 rounds in a row, avoiding overtime and completing the comeback. That's right, Fnatic, who lost literally 2 maps through the entirety of the regular season and the upper bracket of playoffs, would lose 3 straight maps to Team Liquid in what possibly could be the biggest collapse in VCT's short history. But does this mean that Liquid is now the region's best squad? That is yet to be seen. Would definitely be interested to hear your thoughts though, YouTube, down in those comments below. Remember, those comments and those like that y'all leave down there in that bottom right hand corner, let me know y'all are digging the content, are the 2 things that help me out the most with that YouTube algorithm and put my content in front of more people as we chase down that first 1,000 subscribers over here on the channel. And y'all have been absolutely crushing it lately, so make sure you tell somebody to tell somebody about it. Until we catch y'all back over here for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q signing out.